Hi, I'm Roger Himes, the Gospel Coach. For the next 4 or 5 minutes, let's talk about the Gospel, and let's close with a worship song, just me and my guitar. Today's subject is Thanksgiving is speaking God's language, an attitude that expresses gratitude and worship. You know, someone has said attitudes are contagious. Are yours worth catching? We live in a world that doesn't seem to express much gratitude, and especially not a lot of spontaneous worship. But actually, Thanksgiving is really God's language. Life is meant to be based on trust in God. We express trust by means of thanksgiving, which is seen through gratitude and then worship. Now, being grateful is a learned trait. It doesn't come naturally to us at all. It's an expression of trust, and trust often comes very hard to us. Now, worship is not a church service. Religious people often view worship as a church service, and we go to church to worship God. But really, worship is meant to be a daily attitude where we express gratitude to God for life itself, for what He's done for us on the cross of His Son Jesus, and what He's doing for us now. It's not about an act we do or it's a declaration of our heart. As the Apostle Paul says, in everything we give thanks. This is talking about a heart that expresses thanksgiving and gratitude. This does not mean to give God thanks for everything that happens to us in life. Hey, some things that happen are problems. They're hurtful, they're harmful, they're even tragic. But we're meant to give thanks in everything that happens. Deep down inside, being grateful is an expression of trust in God. Now, we should be grateful to God in hurtful experiences. Even if there's something hurtful, God can do so much more with an attitude of gratitude and worship than He can with a heart that is angry, rebellious, fault-finding, unforgiving, or even revengeful. God doesn't want us to pretend that hurt or tragedy doesn't exist, but He wants us to respond to things with an attitude of thanksgiving, gratitude, and worship to Him for life itself. God does not cause the bad things that happen to us in life, but neither does He usually stop them either. He doesn't expect us to express gratitude and worship for those bad things, not because of them. But if we can learn to respond in life more with gratitude and thanksgiving, even in the bad stuff, then life will be better. You know, 10 lepers were healed by Jesus in Luke 17. He did something good for them, but only one of them returned to say thanks. I'm sure you know by now that not everything in life turns out as you want it to turn out. It's a promise of Jesus that we will have problems in life. We will be offended by other people. That's another promise. We should live in gospel truth and not by law. So many people live life by laws and rules, by precepts and principles and formulas. It's really hard to worship God and be grateful to Him and to offer thanksgiving when we live like this. The reason is that our focus is more on us than on Him. It's on what we do good and what we do bad. If our focus is on us, it's nearly impossible to express gratitude and gratefulness and worship to God. It has been my experience that true thanksgiving only comes from a heart that is separated to the gospel, as Paul says his was. When we live life in the gospel, then our hearts are flooded with all the good things of God that are ours, which means all that He has, His entire kingdom, becomes ours. Only gospel truth could produce true worship from us. Do we really expect life to be perfect? Of course not. We know it can't be. But if it were perfect, we'd have no desire to ever go to heaven. We'd be content to live here forever. What we need to learn is to see that what happens to us in life, as important as it may be, isn't half as important as how we respond to what happens to us. Our time here on earth can be viewed in 4 very general ways. Birth. 2nd, times of joy and happiness. 3rd, times of sorrow and sadness. And 4th, death. If we're only grateful and respond in worship and gratitude in times of joy and happiness, when we get what we want when we want it, that's pretty shallow living. We must learn to embrace God in bad times as well as in good times. In everything give thanks, is what we saw that Paul says. This is how we come to know him as Abba Father, and not simply as God. Well, I have come with one intent, one desire to fulfill, to worship you, Lord, laying down everything, falling at your feet I sing. You alone are worthy, you alone are faithful, you alone are God, and worthy to be praised. You alone are worthy, you alone are faithful, you alone are God, and worthy to be praised. Hey, thanks a lot for listening. I'm Roger Himes, the Gospel Coach.